Hello, Taurus, and welcome to the Shell or the Water Group for your financial philosophical card reading. As your first card here, we see the card of remuneration, salaries, payments here. This is what we see here as our first card. What does this card tell us? Well, it tells us probably that you are about to get maybe a promotion in your work. Excuse me for the noise before. Anyway, coming back here, this is the card, as I said, of remuneration, payments, salaries, and probably you are about to receive an increase of salary. Maybe some promotion is waiting here for you. Anyway, we are with this card, we are mostly wondering about the current situation and the possibilities and the progress that we can make in the company and ourselves here. But this card tells us also that maybe this increase in salary, it will change the world. But this card wants you to double reflect on that. Sometimes with an increase in salary, it's not actually as good as we expected here, because regardless of what we earn, our monthly, our annual salary, what really improves our financial condition is our ability to adjust our expenses according to the income that we have. Anyway, an increase in salary, it will have no positive effect if we proportionally increase our expenses, which is unfortunately too often the case. On the other hand, if you all have full authority over the control of your expenses, it's imperative that we learn to limit ourselves. So invest your efforts in a better management of your daily expenses in relationship to your earnings. If you do so, if you get the things under control, you can then focus on an increase of your income. And by doing so, you will have a much better chance here of improving your overall situation. The next card is that probably we spend a little bit too much, maybe we overspend, maybe the scales were a little bit out of balance, the proportions are a little bit out of balance, because this is the card that we need to be resilient. What does this card tells us? Well, maybe there are certain circumstances that you are in now. There's maybe a kind of financial insecurity here that we are experiencing here, and we are required here to have certain resilience. This card tells us also if we are or would be in a certain financial difficulty, we should not remain passive. We should solve the problem, because this is a reflection card, a reflection on your situation. We should weigh the pros and cons of certain actions, and we should acknowledge here that we have an important lesson in life, and we should try to make the best out of it. We should learn an important lesson here. And also here, we should not feel sorry for ourselves here. We should search for solutions, be persistent, learn about certain experiences. And if you consider, or if you think that this is returning or reoccurring harmful behavior, maybe you should work towards it. Anyway, here this card makes us in general aware of our flaws, our weaknesses, and we should learn to turn them into our advantages. So this is not a card of bad luck, but see it as an obstacle that we must overcome, or you must overcome, and as a lesson to be learned to bounce back better. Anyway, by applying here this resilience, when this storm is finally calmed, you will recognize that you have learned an important lessons, and of course you will fall back on your feet. The next card that we are seeing here is the card of proportions. It's a very balanced reading that we are having here. We see here with this card that everything in life is relative, and we can only estimate the value or the real value of our money if we put it in context to our own financial situation. We know that a monthly payment for the loan of somebody living in a poor country, and they need to take care of 3-4 people with one salary, and they have a home payment to make, that this is a very different situation that two people who have two salaries with one child and the house is already paid. $2 or €2, it can make the difference here for these people between eating 2 times a day or eating 1 time a day. So here, especially with the current times here, there's a difference here. Anyway, here we see that we need to find a balanced budget. It's very important to do so. We need to establish a relationship between the outflow of our money and our salary. It's you here with this card that tell us that is in control. You are the boss of your money, so it's you who are balancing. You yourself are the important key figure here, and you have control over this disbursements that are about to make. So here we should relativize our current expenses. We should educate ourselves more, as we saw in the previous cards here. And here we should, if we don't know where our money is going, maybe we should take a piece of paper, make categories of importance. What are we spending? Where are we spending? Are there luxury items? We should make columns how we spend our money, and you should calculate your expenses, and then you can immediately see where your money is going. And of course, if you see where your money is going, you can put it in correlation into what you earn. Anyway, this card asks us to take the bigger picture, make the bigger pictures. Sometimes this is the card that will not apply on everybody, but it could be the card that we live beyond our means. So we should be careful here with this card. Anyway, Taurus, this is all for the shell or the water group. I hope you get a little bit wiser out of this short philosophical card reading. If you did, please subscribe to my channel. If this card reading don't fit you all, please check the other three that are immediately connected here. I'm sure one of the four will fit you. If you have interest in Lenormand card readings, you can also check them out. We do classic Lenormand card readings, and they are strongly focused on the work environment and our career here, so you can check it out. We do also spiritual, philosophical card readings. They are very good guides in your life, and you can get a lot of information there also. Just check it out. I'm sure we never know too much, so whatever information you can get is always positive. Anyway, Taurus, I want to thank you for your time, and I also want to thank you for subscribing. See you next time, Taurus. Bye-bye for now. And excuse me for the noise. Hello, Taurus, and welcome to the Aerosol or the Air group for your philosophical financial card reading. As the first card here that we are seeing here, maybe we ourselves need to learn some financial lessons, but this card is actually more focused on educating our children about money, about financial matters that are going on here. Mostly, for most of us, the money don't fall from the trees in where we are living here. Probably in your area is that the same. And here we see maybe we need to do something about the way our children think about money. You can easily know if your children are aware of money. For giving an example, for instance, you walk around in the mall and they come up to you with some toy or whatever, and they ask you, Mom, Dad, is this okay? And then you say, no, it's not the right time. We cannot pay for it. And then as answer you get, well, of course you can. Your wallet is full of credit cards. This is what this card is about. It means there's something here about educating your children that they need to be taught to them. Of course, it's utopian to think that our children would survive or they would do well in this hyper-consuming society that we are living if we don't turn them into knowledgeable consumers. So here this card urges us to talk to our children about money. If there are certain taboos, break these taboos, inform them, make them aware of healthy practices. By teaching them good workings and give them a good foundation about money, it will greatly help them for their future. The next card that we are seeing here is the card of luck. What kind of luck is this? Well, this card tells us that money don't bring happiness, but we all need to admit that we all need it. We all like to have enough of it. According to Maslow's pyramid, we first need to meet our basic needs, psychological and security needs, and then of course we need to aspire to self-fulfillment. This is true, however, the card of the year doesn't meet those needs. So here this is also about essential needs. Here this card asks us not to confuse basic needs with being at ease. Of course, we all like to have more, we like to travel more, we like to spend more, but this card asks us, would this guarantee your feeling of completeness? So this card asks us to take a break from spending money. Maybe here this card is about thinking how we pursue our happiness this is about the pursuit of happiness. For everybody, it's different. Some people like to have the standard of living like a king. For some people, they like just common lives. For some people, it's very standard living. It all depends what is your point of view. But here we need to also see that if money was so strongly connected to absolute joy and bliss, why are so many of the super rich unhappy? It's a question that we need to ask ourselves. Money is essential to meet our basic needs. However, once the basic needs are filled, our quest for happiness, of course, it don't depend anymore on financial ease. Here, this card tells us that we should enjoy the little things in life, appreciate especially the people close and around you, and maybe you already, your luck or your financial luck or your emotional luck is already closer to you than you think. Maybe it's just next to you there, and maybe this is the real deal. The next card that we are seeing here, it's about cash payment. For many people, this is something out of the time of the dinosaur, because most of us pay with credit cards. Anyway, if you always pay with credit cards, this card wants you to compare. This is about comparison. We should compare the several payment methods. Most of us, as I said, they pay with credit cards, but here this card wants you to do an exercise. If you want better control over your money, sometimes it's not a better exercise to pay cash for a while. Why is that? Well, psychologically, it's painful to hand over paper money. It's in your wallet. You hand it over to the cashier and there's an action. And if you hand them the money over, this is your hard-earned money. You actually have a sense. You feel that you hand over the money and it triggers some kind of pain reaction in your brain. And with a credit card, you don't have any sense at all. You just put it on the device and the money is gone and you don't think twice. But with money, it's different because we hand it over, we make an action towards it. Of course, here, if you compare these two methods, you will see that there is a difference. It makes you think. Of course, it's no coincidence here with this. This card tells us that traders, banks, they want to gradually eliminate money. It's their wet dream, also for getting more control, for eliminating paper money. They are supporting a society where consumption is the highest god and it needs to constantly increase. So virtual payment is essential for these people, their business, because it makes you lose track of your expenses. But this card tells you to work opposite. This card tells you to take charge of your wallet, pay cash for all your purchases for 1 month, compare the two payment methods and you will probably see that there is a difference because you control more. So this card asks you to take up that challenge. So Taurus, this is all for the air group. I hope you get a little bit wiser out of this short philosophical card reading. If you did, please subscribe to my channel. If this card reading don't fit you at all, please check the other 3 that are immediately connected here. I'm sure one of the 4 will fit you. If you have interest in Lenormand card readings, we do Lenormand card readings and they're very strong focused on business and on work. We do also philosophical spiritual card readings and you can find those also. They give a lot of information about life in general, about certain things in life, and they can give you another perspective on life in general. Anyway, you should check it out, Taurus. There's nothing to lose. The only thing you can lose is that you get smarter and there's nothing lost with that. Anyway, Taurus, I want to thank you for your time. And of course, I want to also thank you for subscribing to my channel. Thank you for doing so and bye-bye for now. Hello, Taurus, and welcome to the Earth or the Stone group for your for your financial card reading for the month of February. As your first card here, we see the card of youth. What does this card tell us? Well, it goes along with the famous diction that boys will be boys and girls just want to have fun. You probably yourself have used it to justify some financial recklessness in the past. Maybe it cost you. Maybe there are certain sufferings now because you have had or have certain outbursts here. Regardless of our age, cash management and optimization, it requires a form of maturity, and mostly this awareness is accentuated and perfected as we get older. It's the cycle of life. However, the people who have been able to control these consumption habits come out strongly favored compared to peers. So here this card wants you to reflect over certain ideas or certain spendings here and compare yourself to your peers. Are you already mature or do you still have spendthrift, or are you in total control over certain outbursts? This card tells us also that we are never too young to be financially mature, and and also you are never too old to change financial behaviors. If you have the advantage of youth and at the same time you are financially mature, this card tells you that your efforts that you are doing will be greatly rewarded soon. If you have the assets of being older, wiser and more experienced, use those abilities in your advantage, enjoy life's gifts with moderation, and of course also for you rewards will follow soon. The last card that we are seeing here is the cards of, is the card of our needs or our daily needs here. What does this card tells us? Well, it tells us that we are all unique. We all have a different perspective over life. This also relates to that we need to compare in our life what is fundamentally necessary and what is optional. Here we are asked to analyze our current situation and distinguish what we are obligated to buy, what compare it to what we are desiring to buy. A fair and a precise analysis of your situation, it will allow you to identify the essential expenses from the superficious or what is unnecessary. Maybe there are some things here related to the first card that we could have done without. Maybe we bought a little bit impulsive here, and by eliminating these incidental or these youthful outbursts here, you will be able to quickly improve your financial health. Anyway, if you see there are unnecessary and luxury purchases, they of course have their part in their budget, but you should give them their right place and their right time. If you do so in a conscious way, you will make more clearer decision, and you will be surprised how much more you enjoy these luxury gifts that you are buying, and you will appreciate more than if you put them in a planning. This is also the card about planning. We should plan before we buy certain things. The next card that we are seeing here is the card of resilience. What does this card tell us? Well, the card of resilience tells us that probably, as I said here, we need to make some adjustments. Maybe we overspend. And here this card tells us maybe we cannot remain passive if we spend too much. We cannot sublimate to our fate here, but we need to learn about it. There are certain pros and cons probably of your actions, and we need to learn here that we have learned an important lesson. We need to try to make the best of it. If we overspend here, also this card reminds you that a lot of some people that spend too much, that maybe were wealthy, they came into difficult situations because they spend small amount of money. Of course, we cannot feel sorry for ourselves here. We need to find solutions. We need to be persistent. We need to learn here. If there are certain harmful behaviors here, maybe we need to adjust them. We need to learn from these flaws and these weaknesses, and we need to turn them into our advantages. So this is not a card of bad luck. This is probably some actions that you have been undertaking, and now you need to overcome this obstacle. You need to learn a lesson here, and you need to learn how to bounce back. By applying this resilience, when this storm is finally calmed, you will have learned an important lesson. So Taurus, this is all for the Stone Group. I hope you get a little bit wiser out of it. If you did, please subscribe to my channel. If this card reading don't fit you at all, please check the other 3 that are immediately connected here. I'm sure one of the 4 will fit you. If you are interested in the classic Lenormand card readings, we do classic Lenormand card readings, but they are focused on work and business and all things in that area, also related to work and business, money, everything there is connected to the two. Anyway, what we also do now is spiritual, philosophical card readings. It's a totally different point of view, but sometimes they are great guides in a different perspective. So you just check it out. Maybe you can find some truths there for yourself also, who are adding to the information that you have. We never know too much, and maybe we can add to our knowledge, and maybe it brings us in a different direction. Anyway, Taurus, I want to thank you for your time, and also I want to thank you for subscribing to my channel. See you next time, Taurus. Bye bye for now. Hello, Taurus, and welcome to the matches or the fire group for your financial card reading for February. As your first card here, we see the card of the mensualities or the monthly payment. What does this card tell us? Well, we all have monthly payments, small bills, telephone, internet, insurances, magazine subscriptions. These are reoccurrent and systematic payments. We don't pay attention to them, or we don't give them a lot of attention because they are part of our life. But also this card tells us that a large proportion of people don't even notice when there are increasements in these payments, not even if these increases are fairly big. Did you ever notice about that these invoices were slightly changed? And sometimes even, this need to be added, they increase without your consent. Why is that? Well, sometimes we sign in during a promo, and this promo is time limited. After the promo, we should be informed customers, and we should know the law. In many countries, it's like that. And after the promo period, these firms have the right to put you in a different payment system. So we should be careful here, and we should double check here and pay attention to time limited discounts, offers. So keep track of certain expirations of promos here. If you see they put you in a different system, call your internet company, see if you can get back to the advantages that you had before. Sometimes also it's about insurances. Maybe it's a long time let's review your insurance portfolio. Maybe you should check with your broker if you don't know a lot about. Sometimes also it's about this one. Then also it could be about banking. Sometimes also this relates to banking. What does this mean? Well, probably maybe we are still in the traditional way. Maybe we do certain things already online, but we are still in the basics. Traditional banks, they are mostly quite expensive. If you compare this card wants you to compare also. It wants you to compare your expenses with internet banking. Why is that? Well, internet banking tends to be very cheap. Why is that? Because they have no physical locations, and also they have no staff. And if you compare, you will see that there's a lot of difference here, because with banks, classic banks, they charge us a lot. And if we compare this to the virtual banks, they have no physical location, but they are much cheaper. Of course, you think now, yeah, but I have no more contact. I have no more personal contact. That's a fact. But you should double check, and you should be a little bit of a police officer. You should double check it. And if you make some investigation, you will see that those banks, the bank that you work with, probably they have an internet bank that is closely connected to them. And mostly they operate under a different name. So double check here. Don't be surprised if you make your comparison that you end up with basic differences of $1,000 to $2,000 or euro a year. You will not have to be a magician for those profits. It's just basics, because remember, every time you withdraw money, you pay. Every action that you do, you pay. So on an annual basis, this is a lot of money. So double check it here if you cannot make certain savings in there. Anyway, if we calculate everything that I just told you, you will see this makes a big difference. You will be surprised to what amount this ends. And here we see that it's better that we invest this in ourselves than our bank is opening a new location. It's better that we put a porch behind our house, and we have more accommodations ourselves. The next card here that we are seeing here is the card of heritage. What does this card tell us? Well, it tells us that we should not rely on other people for certain monies. It also tells us that sometimes that maybe in this group, some people don't consider it necessary to save for retirement. Maybe they are expecting a large amount of money that is to come, but this card tells us to be very careful with money that we are expected. Don't let yourself be fooled. Don't be utopian. It's dangerous to rely on a certain money of other people. Especially from our parents, if this is an inheritance, unless they are already very unfit, we never have read their will, and therefore we are not sure that we are their sole heir. Maybe they prefer sister or brother. We are not sure until the notary or the lawyer, they read the will. So don't make this mistake. This card tells us also we need to add that life expectancy, it has exploded over the last decades, and our parents, your parents will probably live much longer than their ancestors. And as they get older, they may gradually need all these savings to pay for services suited for their survival conditions. And of course, no one can blame them. Secondly, each individual has the right to change their testimonial dispositions at any time. And you never know if your mother or your father, they will not succumb to young Venus living next door, or Cupid they met on the internet, and they will not decide to favor this person at the expense of the descendants. So we should be very careful here. This card tells us it can be, money can be part of a plan, an investment plan, an inheritance. It can be a plan, but we should be very careful. This card tells us to make your plans independently of other people, and you will come out as a winner. The next card that we see here is the card of evolution. What does this card tell us? Well, it tells us that progress is part of life. We all evolve over the years. There are changes too. Decades follow each other's. They are not the same. If we compare ourselves, not with a decade, but 2 years ago, we know that the world is turned upside down in 2 years of time due to all the things that are happening here, the so-called viruses that are around us here. And it has changed our life for good, probably, and forever. Anyway, coming back to the card here, we would have probably 20 years ago found it very unusual to pay what we pay for internet services. Now there are other examples here, but we see here that our expenses and our needs, they are changing, they are increasing, and therefore we must eliminate certain things. What was very important and essential in the past, it's maybe today no longer important. For instance, if you have a landline at home, you never use this landline. What is the purpose of the landline if you never use it? So maybe you should consider canceling this number. If you catch yourself always watching broadcasts on the internet and you still pay for the subscription on your TV channels, what's the purpose of the TV channels where you pay for? We can also apply this on newspapers or magazines. If you are subscribed on one of both, you could also consider for taking the online version instead of the paper version. It will save you 30 to 40%. Anyway, we should think about these expenses, stop these expenses here. We should review our monthly payments and ask ourselves if we should not adjust our spending on the current times. So, Taurus, this is all for the fire group. I hope you get a little bit wiser out of this short philosophical card reading. If you did, please subscribe to my channel. If this card reading don't fit you at all, please check the other 3 that are immediately connected here. I'm sure one of the 4 will fit you. If you have interest in Lenormand card readings, we do also Lenormand card readings, and they are strongly focused on work and business and your career. So you can check it out. And then also we have something totally different. These are spiritual, psychological card readings. You just check them out because they are very good guides for our lives, and we got very good additional answers out of them, out of the rest here. Anyway, Taurus, I want to thank you for your time. And of course, I thank you for subscribing to my channel. See you next time, Taurus. Bye-bye for now.